An American woman named Zan Christ shares her spiritual journey of finding the light of Islam. She is not just an ordinary person. She does not come from a regular family background, but from a lineage of religious leaders. She is the daughter of a pastor in the country. Both her father and mother have pastoral ancestry from Norway and Germany. Her grandfather and great-grandfather were respected religious figures, and her family had long dedicated themselves to spreading Christian teachings. Since childhood, Zan was raised to be the successor of her family in teaching religion. Every Sunday, she stood in front of the congregation, taught Sunday school, and sang hymns with her melodious voice. She grew up with the firm belief that the religion her family followed was the only truth. The church was her second home, and God was the figure she worshipped through prayers and songs. However, as she grew older, more questions began to arise in her mind. If God is one, why is there the concept of the Trinity, which is difficult to understand? If Jesus is God, why does he pray to another God? If human sins have already been redeemed, why are people still punished for their mistakes? These questions continued to haunt her, but whenever she asked her family or church leaders, she always received vague answers. Zan eventually decided to leave her hometown to pursue higher education at a university. She chose to major in world religions, hoping to gain a deeper understanding of the beliefs held by different people. It was here for the first time that she began studying Islam. Initially, she took the class only because it was part of her curriculum, not out of interest. To her, Islam was a foreign religion, full of negative stereotypes she had often heard in Western media. However, over time, the more she studied Islam, the more she discovered something different. Islam emphasizes the absolute oneness of God, without the confusing concept of the Trinity. Islam teaches that every person is responsible for their own deeds without inherited sin. Islam provides rational explanations about life, the afterlife, and the relationship between humans and God. In fact, she was shocked when she read the Quran and found verses stating that Jesus is not God, but rather a prophet sent by Allah, a concept that made more sense to her compared to the Trinity she had always believed in. As she continued her studies at the graduate level, Zan interacted more frequently with students from various countries. Some of her friends were Muslims from the Middle East and Africa, including a man from Somalia who had extraordinary character. She noticed that her Muslim friends were very calm, humble, and full of love. They never imposed their beliefs on others, but the way they lived reflected something different, a real sense of peace. One of the conversations that changed her life happened when she asked her friend, "Why are you so sure that Islam is the true religion?" Her friend smiled and answered, "Because Islam is not just a religion, but also a way of life. God is one, neither begotten nor begetting. If you seek the truth, open your heart and ask for guidance from the true God." That answer echoed in her mind. That night, for the first time in her life, Zan prayed directly to God without any intermediary. "Oh God, if Islam is the truth, show me the right path." Days went by, and Zan's heart grew more certain. After a long inner struggle, finally in her second year of studies, Zan Christ decided to recite the Shahada. "Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." Tears welled up in her eyes. She felt as though she had been born again, as if she had found something that had been lost in her life for a long time. However, this new journey was not without challenges. When her family found out that Zan had embraced Islam, a great anger erupted. "What have you done, Zan?" her father shouted. "You are the daughter of a pastor. You have betrayed our faith." Her mother cried, while her siblings looked at her with deep disappointment. "Father, I haven't betrayed anyone," Zan said, her voice trembling. "I am just following the truth I have found." But her father could not accept this reality. In a firm voice, he said, "If you stick to your decision, then you are no longer part of this family." That night, Zan left her home with a broken heart. She had lost her family, but she did not lose her faith in the God who had guided her. After embracing Islam, Zan did not stop learning. She deepened her understanding of the religion, learned Arabic, and became active in the Muslim community. Now Zan Christ has become a da'i spreading Islam in America. She frequently gives lectures and speeches at various universities, explaining Islam from a logical and rational perspective. In every lecture, she always strives to correct the misunderstandings about Islam that often arise in the West. She emphasizes that Islam is not a religion of terrorism, not a religion that oppresses, but a religion that brings light, peace, and truth to anyone who is willing to open their heart. The story of Zan Christ is proof that guidance can come to anyone. She was born into a family of pastors, grew up in a very religious environment, but when she sought the truth with an open heart, Allah showed her the way. Now she is no longer a Christian religious teacher, but a spreader of the light of Islam. She is no longer someone who questioned God, but someone who has found the true God. May this story inspire us all to deepen our understanding of Islam, to be more diligent in our worship, and to always be grateful for the guidance Allah has granted us. Ameen, O Lord of the worlds. Sarah Bacher, a former model, actress, fitness instructor, and feminist activist, once lived a glamorous life in South Beach, Miami, a place known for its luxury, freedom, and hedonistic lifestyle. Like many other American girls, she was obsessed with beauty, fashion, and how to appear attractive in the public eye. However, beneath all the glitz and glamour surrounding her, Bacher began to feel an indescribable emptiness. She felt like a prisoner of the beauty standards created by the fashion and entertainment industry. Every day she had to ensure she looked perfect, followed the latest trends, and maintained the image that many women admired. However, the more she tried to meet those standards, the more trapped she felt. Eventually, Bacher began searching for the meaning of life beyond the glamorous world that had confined her. Her search led her to various spiritual practices, meditation, and the exploration of different religions. However, the biggest turning point in her life came after the events of September 11th, 2001. The world was suddenly filled with discussions about Islam, and unfortunately, most of what she heard were negative stereotypes. As a feminist and activist, Bacher felt compelled to learn more about Islam, rather than simply accepting the narrative portrayed by the media. A chance moment changed everything. She came across the Holy Quran, something she had always seen as foreign and even dangerous to many in the West. At first, she was only drawn to its physical appearance, but as soon as she began reading it, her heart was deeply moved. Unlike any other text she had ever read, the Quran spoke directly to her soul. She felt as if it had been written specifically for her, providing answers to the questions that had long haunted her. Her spiritual journey did not stop there. Bacher eventually decided to embrace Islam, finding the peace she had been searching for. She recited the Shahada and began living as a Muslim woman. Shortly after, she married a Muslim man who supported her new path. One of the biggest steps she took after becoming a Muslim woman was wearing the hijab. That day was a historic moment for her. She bought a graceful long dress and a headscarf, then walked through the same streets where she had once strolled in revealing clothing, bikinis, shorts, or fashionable work attire. But this time she felt different. For the first time, she truly felt like a free woman. Bacher's journey to Islam did not stop at the hijab. She began considering wearing the niqab, face veil. At first, she asked her husband whether it was obligatory in Islam, and he explained that niqab was not a requirement. However, a year and a half later, Bacher felt that wearing the niqab was a calling from her heart. She wanted to do it for the sake of Allah and for her own inner peace. When she finally wore the niqab, the outside world's reactions were mixed. The media buzzed with debates about the face veil, with many politicians and human rights activists labeling it as a form of oppression against women. However, for Bacher, such accusations were pure hypocrisy. She observed how the world loudly defended women's rights to dress minimally and freely, but denied their right to cover themselves if they chose to. She felt that true feminism should grant women the freedom to choose, not just the kind of freedom defined by Western culture. I remain a feminist, Bakr said, but a Muslim feminist who calls on other Muslim women to fulfill their responsibilities as wives, mothers, and individuals with values. I want to see Muslim women strong in their faith, raising their children to be righteous Muslims and spreading goodness in the world. Currently, Sarah Bakr is active as the communications director at the March for Justice, the assistant founder of the Global Sisters Network, and a producer at the same organization. She continues to advocate for the rights of Muslim women, inspiring many women, both those who have been Muslim for a long time and those who are new to Islam. For her, wearing the hijab and niqab is not a symbol of backwardness, but rather a symbol of true freedom, the freedom to choose who she is without external pressures.